page 229. Yeah, no problem. But they're saying, what's the first verse in your thing? Yeah, قومي عليك. Okay. 229, right? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our recitation today is in Surah Hud, verses number 63 to 71, page number 229. Surah number 11, verses 63 to 71, page number 229. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي وآتاني منه رحمة فمن ينصرني من الله إن عصيته فما تزيدونني غير تخسير. ويا قوم هذه ناقة الله لكم آية فذروها تأكل في أرض الله ولا تمسوها بسوء فيأخذكم عذاب قريب. فعقروها فقال تمتعوا في داركم 3 أيام ذلك وعد غير مكذوب. فلما جاء أمرنا نجينا صالحا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا ومن خزي يومئذ إن ربك هو القوي العزيز. وأخذ الذين ظلموا الصيحة فأصبحوا في ديارهم جاثمين كأن لم يغنوا فيها ألا إن ثمود كفروا ربهم ألا بعدا لثمود. ولقد جاءت رسلنا إبراهيم بالبشرى قالوا سلاما قال سلام فما لبث أن جاء بعجل حنيذ. فلما رأى أيديهم لا تصل إليه نكرهم وأوجس منهم خيفة قالوا لا تخف إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم لوط وامرأته قائمة فضحكت فبشرناها بإسحاق ومن وراء إسحاق يعقوب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We are continuing with the story of Prophet Salih and the people of Thamud. And if you remember, last week we said that the people of Thamud came and said to Prophet Salih that before you brought this message to us, and before you challenged our way of life, and before you challenged our system, we liked you very much. And we had great aspirations of you. We had great hopes of you. We were hoping you'd become one of the outstanding members of our, yarhamukallah, of our society. But now we are very much in doubt over your message. No, rather, in fact, we reject your message. Okay. And at that time, as it was with every prophet and with the Prophet of Allah, they would have on one hand threatened him, and on the other hand, they would have tried to bribe him as well. So as they came to the Holy Prophet, they might have come to him as well and said that if you want wealth, we will give you wealth. We just need to calm down. If you want power and position, then say so. We'll give you power and position. There is no need to change our whole way of life, right? If you want someone to marry, as they came to the Holy Prophet and they said to him, we'll give you the most beautiful ladies of Arabia if you want that, right? And if you don't, then these are the threats that we're going to give to you. So how did he respond to that? So let's see how he responded to that. So in the first verse that we recited today, he said to them, قَالَ يَا قَوْمِي, O my community, O my people, أَرَأَيْتُمْ, do you not see, إِن كُنْتُ عَلَى بَيِّنَةٍ مِّن رَبِّي, if I was on a bayyina is a clear argument. In the Qur'an, whenever the word bayyina is used, it refers to two things. One, a rational argument, an intelligent argument. Two, a miracle. If God has given me rational arguments, if God has given me miracles, number one, then what argument would I have not to accept these miracles, not to accept these intellectual arguments and to convey them to you? And number two, وَآتَانِ مِنْهُ رَحْمَةً, and the mercy of God has come to me. What is this mercy of God? Divine revelation. That God speaks to me, that God reveals realities to me. فَمَنْ يَنْصُرُنِي مِنَ اللَّهِ إِنْ عَصَيْتُ. You're telling me that you're going to harm me, you're going to punish me, you're going to have consequences for me. You tell me who is going to help me against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if I were to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want me to be worried about you? I'm worried about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have to stand in His presence. I have to answer why I have not fulfilled my mission. You know, brothers and sisters, it is the same problem that we face when we have to do amra bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. And sometimes we worry, what is the other person going to feel? What is the other person going to think about, right? In this society that we live in today, you know, not hurting people's feelings, not being judgmental, for example, in a very unconditional manner, right? Making people feel comfortable has almost become the most important thing in society, right? So even if the person is doing something wrong, it is going to lead to something bad for them in the dunya, bad for them in the akhirah. Our societies are going to tell us, no, don't do that. What if they feel hurt about it, right? And here, Prophet Saleh is saying what? Well, you're worried about what these people are going to feel towards you? Don't you worry what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to do to me and to you? And two, as for all those things that you have promised me, the wealth, the power, this and that, فَمَا تَزِيدُونَنِي غَيْرَ تَخْسِيرٍ, all these things that you're giving me, they are not going to do ziyada, they're not going to increase me in anything but khasara, but loss. These things are not going to benefit me at all. وَيَا قَوْمِ, and O my community, هَذِهِ نَاقَةُ اللَّهِ, this is, naqa in the Arabic language is a camel. But naqa is used for a female camel. This is the she-camel of God. هَذِهِ نَاقَةُ اللَّهِ لَكُمْ آيَةٌ. It is a sign of God for you. Now, the Qur'an doesn't describe in what ways was it a sign of God for them. Okay? We have those explanations in the ahadith. One thing the Qur'an does tell us is that He said to them that one day you will drink from your watering places and one day the camel is going to be drinking from the watering places. Don't stop it, right? We say in the surah, we say, نَاقَةَ اللَّهِ وَسُقْيَاهَا, right? He talked to them about quenching the thirst of this camel. So maybe we can extrapolate from that this was a very large camel, that it had to be given one day for its own water and one day for the people to drink from it. In some of the ahadith, we're also told that he actually brought this camel out of a mountain. He brought it out of stone. It just cracked open, for example, and the camel came out. And he said, this is the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you. فَذَرُوهَا, then let it be. You know, this is amazing. The only thing we're asking you to do, we're not asking you to provide for it. We're not asking you to take care of it. You're just being told, let it be. Leave it alone, right? تَأْكُلْ فِي أَرْضِ اللَّهِ. Whatever it eats, it is eating from the land of God. It is eating from the provision of God. It's not taking anything away from you, right? وَلَا تَمَسُّوهَا بِسُوءٍ. And do not touch it with any harm, because if you do it, فَيَأْخُذَكُمْ عَذَابٌ قَرِيبٌ. You will be punished, and you will be punished immediately for it, right? You know, as long as these miracles and clear signs don't appear in our lives, these kinds of signs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a lot of respite. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a lot of flexibility. But once the most complete sign comes, and you've not been asked to do anything but just to leave it, and you go against that, then the punishment of God will be severe. And I think we can also relate it to the coming of the 12th Imam. You know, we ask for the coming of the 12th Imam, right? But until the 12th Imam has not come, we still have a lot of time. We have time to think, we have time to make decisions, we have time to change our lives, we have the time to accept the truth, not to accept the truth. God gives us respite, for example. When the Imam comes, then that's it. There's haqq and there's batil, and you either are here or you are there. There is no third way about it. Okay? So it continues. فَعَقَرُوهَا. What did they do? All they were asked to do is leave it alone. And what did they do? They slaughtered it. Now what's interesting is, historically speaking, the person who slaughtered it was one man. And yet the Qur'an said what? فَعَقَرُوهَا. Not he slaughtered it. What? They slaughtered it, right? So in the hadith from one of our imams, the imam says in this hadith, وَإِنَّمَا عَقَرَ نَاقَةَ ثَمُودٍ رَجُلٌ وَاحِدٌ. Was a single person who actually slaughtered the camel of Thamud. فَعَمَّهُمُ اللَّهُ بِالْعَذَابِ. But the punishment of God came to each and every one of them. Why? لَمَّا عَمُّوهُ بِالرِّضَى. Because each and every one of them were radi. They were pleased with what their representative had done. Right? And it's not just applying to them. This is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Applies in every community. Applies in every time as well. In fact, we're told in another hadith, very interesting, لَوْ أَنَّ رَجُلًا قُتِلَ فِي الْمَشْرِقِ. If a man is killed in the east, فَرَضِيَ بِقَتْلِهِ رَجُلٌ بِالْمَغْرِبِ. And a man in the west, thousands of kilometers away, is pleased with that man, for example, an innocent man being killed, لَكَانَ الرَّاضِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ شَرِيكُ الْقَاتِلِ. The one who is pleased has become sharik of the qatil. Right? You know, sometimes, even if there's nothing we can do to help somebody who's being oppressed, somebody who's being wronged, at least in our hearts we should hate it. On our tongues we should say that this is wrong, this should not have happened, right? Why is it so important that we talk about what is happening in Yemen, what's happening in Palestine, what's happening, for example, in other parts over there, right? Some people will say, well, maybe we can't do anything about it. Allah knows best, right? But at least we can talk about it. We can say we're not pleased with it, so that we don't become sharik of what is happening over there. The opposite is also true. If somebody is pleased with a good action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also makes him sharik of the one who did the good action as well. In the battle of Jamal, as they were returning from the battle of Jamal, and they were victorious, and the ashab of Amir al-Mu'mineen were very pleased with the victory, somebody came to the Imam and said, oh, I wish my brother could have seen this victory and he could have been a part of this victory as well. The Imam said, your brother wanted to be one of us? And the man said, yes, he is one of us, meaning he wants to be with you, he wants to support you. The Imam said to him, then he is a part of our victory. And then the Imam went further, and this is beautiful. He says in this, وَلَقَدْ شَهِدْنَا فِي عَسْكَرِنَا. People have become a part of our army, the one that was in Jamal. The one that was in Jamal. هَذَا أَقْوَامٌ فِي أَسْلَابِ الرِّجَالِ وَأَرْحَامِ النِّسَاءِ. A community of people who are still not born yet. They are still in the loins of men and in the wombs of their mothers, in the wombs of women, right? But they will come later on, and they will hear about it, and they will be pleased with our victory, and they will wish they could have joined us, for example, right? Then they will count one of us. But that desire should be a genuine desire, right? It shouldn't just be that, for example, on Thursday night we just say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum, fa'afuza ma'akum. And then wherever even a small opportunity comes up in our community, we say, inshallah, whenever there's a bigger opportunity, we'll be a part of it. No, genuinely, wherever that opportunity comes up to help the oppressed, we are there, right? Then yes, we count as being part of that victory. So what were they told? فَعَقَرُوهَا. They slaughtered it. فَقَالَ تَمَتَّعُوا فِي دَارِكُمْ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ. They were told, enjoy in your homes for 3 days. ذَلِكَ وَعْدٌ غَيْرُ مَكْذُوبٍ. This is a promise of God that will never be belied, that will never go wrong. Question, why were they given 3 days? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have punished them right away. Well, there's 3 reasons given. One of these 3 reasons, or all of these 3 reasons may be correct. Firstly, they were given 3 days. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to give them still an opportunity to do tawbah, right? If they had done tawbah, perhaps Allah would still have accepted it from them or from some of them, for example. Secondly, it also increases the punishment on them, right? Imagine if somebody came and told you that, somebody came and told somebody, for example, you're going to die in 3 days. Just those 3 days, if a person is sure, it also creates a lot of anxiety. It makes very difficult. Recently I told somebody to go and speak. I told them 5 minutes before they had to speak. And they said, oh, you put me on the spot. I said, would you have preferred I told you last night, and then you thought about it the whole night and the whole morning and you were worried about it? But yeah, when we are anticipating something difficult, it itself creates a psychological difficulty for us, a psychological pain for us as well. But thirdly, if something would have happened, like let's say in 1 day or 2 days, somebody might have come and said, oh, well, coincidentally there was an earthquake. Coincidentally there was thunderstorms. Coincidentally, I don't know, the wind came on that day. It had nothing to do with the punishment of Allah. Yet the Prophet of God says, no, 3 days, and on the 3rd day, I pinpoint the time, I pinpoint the date, I pinpoint the place, so that there should be no doubt in your minds and generations to come that what happened was a punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for 3 days. Then what happened? After that, we're told that فَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا. When our command came, the command for the punishment came, نَجَّيْنَا صَالِحًا. We saved Salih, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. And those who believed along with him, بِرَحْمَةٍ مِّنَّا. With a special mercy from us. And we explained this in the previous story as well. What this means is that the way they were saved, it was also clear for them that, you know what, this was a special mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we got saved. It wasn't by coincidence, for example, we happened to be outside of the city when the punishment came. No, God helped us to be escaping from this punishment. وَمِنْ خِزْيِ يَوْمِئِذٍ. Not only did we save them from the punishment, but we also saved them from the humiliation of that day. The punishment of God is not physically painful only, but it is also humiliating as well, right? The camel of Salih in Islamic tradition is not just a story. It has become a symbol. And there was this understanding that sometimes in every oppressive regime, there comes a camel of Salih. Something that symbolizes a camel of Salih. The most innocent thing that is there. That is not there to harm anybody. Sometimes as long as you leave it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not punish you, no matter what else you're doing, for example. Not immediately punish you, for example, right? But the moment you touch it, then the punishment of God comes down, and in a humiliating way. So for example, Imam al-Hussein, either on the day of Ashura or the days before it, he said to the enemies that, by God, I am more dear to God than the camel of Salih, right? It's an idea. It's not just a camel. It's an idea of a very innocent being that God places there. A few weeks ago, in the Jum'ah khutbah as well, I gave you the example in modern times. The time of Saddam, for example. You know, you look at the example of Shaheed Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, very innocent being, had not committed any wrong against the people who were there, right? As long as Saddam would have left him, even if he wasn't happy with his activities. But he killed him. And exactly on his death anniversary, many years later, not only did Saddam get killed on the same day, but you also see that he got killed in a very humiliating manner. If you remember seeing the pictures of them taking him out of that little hole where he was hiding, the way he was, the way he spent his time in prison, the way he was killed, wasn't it a humiliating way? Well, that is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمِنْ خِزْيِ يَوْمِئِذٍ. And from the humiliation of that day, إِنَّ رَبَّكَ هُوَ الْقَوِيُّ الْعَزِيزُ. Surely your Lord, He is all-powerful, He is capable of punishing, Al-Aziz, and nothing can withstand His power and His punishment. وَأَخَذَ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا الصَّيْحَةَ. So what was the punishment? Well, we are told in this particular verse of the Qur'an, the punishment was a loud voice. It was like a loud thunder. A sayha is a very loud voice. And either because the voice was too loud and they just couldn't take it, or sometimes you know that noise at a particular frequency, everything has its natural frequency where it oscillates. And if you, for example, create waves of that frequency, then it can be harmful for that thing. You can even make a whole bridge, for example. We had an example of a bridge in Seattle, right? A whole bridge can fall because of that. In the same way, that voice may have come and destroyed them. فَأَصْبَحُوا فِي دِيَارِهِمْ جَاثِمِينَ. And the next morning, they were lying in their homes, doing whatever it is that they were doing. They're running their normal lives, but they were dead exactly where they were, inside their homes. كَأَلَّمْ يَغْنَوْا فِيهَا. If you pass through that city or town, it is as if they never lived in that city. It is as if nobody ever was alive in that city. أَلَا إِنَّ ثَمُودَ كَفَرُوا رَبَّهُمْ. Thamud, the people of Thamud, they rejected their Lord, they disbelieved in their Lord. أَلَا بُعْدًا لِثَمُودَ. Let the mercy of God be far away from them. Now the story comes to the next story. Now we are looking at the story of Prophet Ibrahim. And this is the story not only of Prophet Ibrahim, but it is linked to the story of Prophet Lut as well, because it is going to talk about the angels when they were going to the town of Prophet Lut, but along the way they had a stopover. And the stopover was at the house of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So now the story begins and we're told, وَلَقَدْ جَاءَتْ رُسُلُنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ. Our rusul, our messengers, meaning the angels, came to Prophet Ibrahim. How many were there? Some ahadith tell us 3. For example, Jibra'il, Mikail, and Israel or Israfil. And some say 3, some say 4, some say 9, some say 10. It's not important. The point is these messengers came bil bushra, with good news. What is this good news? Some have said it is the good news, as you see, of the birth of Prophet Ishaq. Some have said Ismail, and some have said of the good news that finally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to deliver Prophet Lut from his community. قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The first thing they said to him was salama. قَالَ سَلَامٌ. And immediately he responded by saying salamun. In Arabic eloquence, and I'm not going to go in the details of it, salamun is better than salaman. You notice that? The first one is what? Salaman. The second one is what? Salamun. Salamun is better than salaman. Why is that important? فَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنِ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. Right? When somebody greets you, respond with a greeting that is better, or respond with a greeting which is equal. And Prophet Ibrahim, being a prophet of God, wanted to respond with a greeting which is better. Right? So he said salam. Secondly, in the hadith of the third Imam, we're told that he says, if somebody comes to you and he starts talking to you without saying salamun alaykum to you, do not let him continue his conversation. First, ensure you say salam, get the response of the salam. The Imam talks about the thawab of saying salam, and then he says you continue with the conversation. Thirdly, according to some ahadith, we're told that Prophet Ibrahim said that the sweetest moment of my life is when these angels came to me and said salamun to me, or salam to me, right? Because it was not only something I heard with my ears, but it is something that I also felt in my heart. I felt a sense of salam, a sense of peace in my heart as well. فَمَا لَبِثَ أَنْ جَاءَ بِعِجْلٍ حَنِيذٍ. Look at the hospitality of Ibrahim. They had just arrived, they were guests. At this time, he still does not recognize them as angels of God. So immediately, even before they can say anything, number one, he brings for them an ijlin hanith. So ijlin hanith is a roasted calf, right? A calf, a little cow. He brings, roasts it, and presents it to them, right? So number one, he brings the best food that he has, and he offers it to them, right? Number two, he takes time to prepare it. And number three, he brings it immediately for them, right? In fact, we're told that he brought it so immediately that even before they had an opportunity to explain to him that we are angels of God, salamun alaikum, how are you doing? Please sit down. Gone. Gone to slaughter the calf, to go and roast it, to prepare it, to bring it to them, to offer it to them. And he was known for his hospitality. He wanted to share the food that he had with them. So what happens? فَلَمَّا رَأَى أَيْدِيَهُمْ لَا تَصِلُ إِلَيْهِ نَكِرَهُمْ وَأَوْجَسَ مِنْهُمْ خِيفَةً. So now they're sitting there. Ibrahim wants to start eating. Maybe he's eating. But he sees these angels. They're not even stretching their hands to put the food onto their plate or to eat that food, right? Which was very strange, okay? It was very strange because in these societies, when you welcome somebody to have food with you, a sign of friendship and a sign of brotherhood is that the person partakes in the food that you have offered him. And if you did not eat the food that the person offered you, it was not just an insult, but now a sign of enmity, a sign that I have come bearing harm towards you. And therefore in the ahadith we're told that one of the haqq that a mu'min has upon you is that whenever he invites you to share something with him or he invites you to his home, you have to answer his invitation. For example, do not try to make too many excuses to say that I can not come. So when he saw this from them, so he wondered now, what intentions do they have? فَأَوْجَسَ مِنْهُمْ خِيفَةً. Not that he was afraid of them, prophets of God. This is Ibrahim, the one who went and, you remember who Ibrahim was? What Ibrahim did? Ibrahim is the one who went and broke the idols, right? And then he stood over there without any fear. Why would he fear three people, for example, who are not eating, right? But no, there wasn't fear. There was concern. Like, why are they not eating? What is the story over here? What harm do they want to bear towards me? قَالُوا لَا تَخَفْ. They say, do not worry. إِنَّا أُرْسِلْنَا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِ لُوطٍ. We have come to the people of, we have been sent to go to the people of Lut. وَامْرَأَتُهُ قَائِمَةٌ. And his wife, his woman, was standing. Now, sometimes you have to ask yourself, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put these adjectives in the Qur'an? Meaning, what if Allah had said, وَامْرَأَتُهُ, and his wife, ضَحِكَتْ, she laughed. Why does it mention she was standing? Anything makes a difference? Whether she was standing or sitting or lying down or inside the tent or outside the tent, what difference does it make? But no word in the Qur'an is extra. What does it mean, standing? She was present, she was there, yes. But, you don't have to say that. The moment you say that she heard it, means she was there. Yeah. They were sitting down. They were socializing. They were talking. They were eating. But she would not sit with them. in Islamic practice, in Islamic society, in Islamic community, men and women who are not related to each other, for them to sit down together, to be seated, and to socialize, and to talk to each other, is not a part of Islamic etiquette, if they are not related to each other, right? So she was there maybe to bring the food, but she did not sit down over there. She was away, she was standing, or she was standing even outside the tent, and not inside the tent, right? وَامْرَأَتُهُ قَائِمَةٌ فَضَحِكَتْ. So she laughed, or she smiled. Why did she do that? Perhaps for two reasons. One, because she also realized that these are angels of God, then we don't have to worry about any harm coming, so it brought some happiness in her. Or secondly, because she was given the good news. Good news of what? فَبَشَّرْنَاهَا. We gave her the glad tidings, بِإِسْحَاقَ, of Ishaq. And then God says, we didn't stop over there. وَمِنْ وَرَاءِ إِسْحَاقَ يَعْقُوب. And after Ishaq, her Ishaq would also have Yaqub as well. Meaning we gave her the glad tidings that your progeny, because she was a very old lady at that time. Ibrahim was also a very old man at that time. And we told her, no, your progeny is going to continue. And this son that you're going to get, because back then, children were born and they died sometimes. So it was very common for children to die at childbirth, to die right after that. They wouldn't grow up, for example. No, your Ishaq is going to grow up, and he's going to get married, and he's going to get Yaqub as well. So how did she respond when she heard this? Because it was very strange for her. Well, those are the next few verses that we're going to be reciting next week, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad.